Alright. Welcome in to the guys that are watching over at GT45 Gaming. You guys snuck in before I got the thing changed over, but hey, it's all good. Good luck, Pammy, Yanis, all you guys that are racing that are up in my chat right now. Go out there and have fun today, man. It's gonna be a fast day. It's gonna be a fast day. Alright, just taking my headset off here so I can hear myself speaking, so we're not over-speaking the audio. Definitely don't want to overspeak the audio. We're missing one driver still. Appreciate you, Nick. Alright, I'm just gonna listen to the audio here real quick, so bear with me. Make sure I've got it all dialed in properly. I spent like 2.5 hours last night making sure everything was locked and stocked. So just gonna head over to my stream for a second so I can listen. Game audio seems on point. How does it mix with my audio? That's good. That's good. Alright, that makes me happy. Alright, we should be underway here shortly. I'm not sure when, but the IRO live stream goes up in 3. Every season starts a little bit rough. There's always last minute loose ends and details and things and scrambling. It's just normal. Alright. It's almost showtime. Welcome everybody, welcome in. The viewers are stacking up. Love to see it. 43-2 with full field. Yeah, this is going to be an insane start. This is going to be a doozy. Go. Welcome in everybody. How are we all doing today? It's that time. International Racing Organization presents the 2025 Endurance Championship season. The International Racing Organization would like to thank all of the viewers for their continued support from the 2024 season over to the 2025 season. We can't do it without all the viewers. So to all the guys and gals sitting at home or at the office or wherever it is that you're hanging out watching, thank you. We can't do it without you. We would also like to send a massive congratulations out to our defending champions coming back this season, the Overboost Racing team, for taking the 2024 championship in the very last race of the season last year at Spa in late November. Absolutely great dominant performance by the Overboost Racing team last season, but I tell you what, they are up against it this season. The series has brought an insane amount of interest, and we had 21 teams registered for qualification this season, coming into the 2025 championship. You can see some of the guys out on track getting their final runs, getting some final testing in right now. And up on the screen is our season schedule. And I mean, what better way to start off an endurance racing season than where it all begins in real life? We head down to Florida in the United States of America, and we hit the Daytona 24 hours. Right off the bat, it's going to be a very grueling race start for these drivers, and split one is going to be the fastest we have ever seen here at the International Racing Organization. The green flag drop here in just a few minutes' time, ladies and gentlemen, will be the most epic race start to a 24-hour race here at the International Racing Organization. So with that being said, grab bevies, get your snacks, get the kiddies settled in, because you are not going to want to miss a millisecond of the high-flying action from the star-studded lineup that these teams have brought this season to the big screens in your homes. So let's take a quick look at the schedule. We got the 24-hour of Daytona this weekend, and then we move into round 2, which is going to be the 12 hours of Bathurst. From Bathurst, we move down into Red Bull Ring and the Nürburgring, 24 hours. A big boy track that is not for the faint of heart. That takes us into the mid-season for Monza 8. And then after that, we get into another real tough race, a 24-hour Le Mans, followed by 8 hours of Glen, 8 hours of Fuji, and then we go 12 hours of the Petit Le Mans and finish it off again this season with another epic race at Spa. And judging by the way things are looking here this season with the teams and the drivers, I think that this championship is going to take down right to the last checkered flag, much like our 2024 season. So get ready, because we are in for a wild ride this year. Let's take a look at our spotters guide here. A little small on my screen, but carrying the number 1 there on the very top left side of the screen there is, of course, our returning champions, Overboost Racing Team. And like I said, last season it was a very dominant performance by this team. They mostly dominated most of the races. They had a couple of races where they did not have the best of luck. They had some things happen, and still came back very strong to eventually clinch their title in the Spa 24-hour at the end of last season. So it has not been an easy task for the Overboost Racing Team this season. As anyone that tuned into the pre-qualifying yesterday will know that it was a crazy tight, and I think the whole field was split by less than 1.5 seconds, but the top 6 drivers are only split by 0.2 of a second. And the ORT team, the Overboost Racing Team, qualified in P10. So that just goes to show how strong this field has gotten this season. So 14 cars are on the grid here, and we are rolling out a formation lap here to get the 2025 season underway. So our pole sitter, Antonio, is going to lead the pack. This will be a single file lap for 3/4 of the track. It will be an 80-mile-per-hour lap. And this is to allow the drivers to get some heat in their tires, to get the cars a little warmed up before the green flag drops. Ideally, that allows the drivers to have better conditions coming into turn 1, and this is going to be a battle of the Titans. So it is Macho Monkey in pole position here. Sector 7 RCF. And then we've got Sector 7 Boomers taking second place, and Loose Moose Racing, the V12 Advantage, in third position here. And that's going to be our top 3 today. And as I said, Overboost Racing Team, our champions, carrying the number 1 this season in 10th place, did not make the Super Pole here in the first round of 2025. So it is going to be very interesting to see how they handle the upgraded competition on the racetrack this season. They're very methodical, they're very strategic, and they execute very well. So don't count Overboost Racing Team out, that is for sure. They are carrying the number 1 after all. Alright, so what we're going to see here is, like I said, single file. We'll see this all the way through until, I believe, probably about NASCAR 4, if I'm not mistaken. The final bank corner, and then we will see the drivers line up 2 by 2, slow the pace down to 60 miles per hour, and then at any point in the green flag zone, the race leader can start this race. That green flag zone being about 150 meters from the start finish line here. So obviously the pole is going to take the left side, so all first, third, fifth, 7th, 9th, 11th, and 13th place will be on the inside line, and the even numbers, 2nd, 4th, 6th, 8th, 10th, 12th, and 14th will be sitting on the outside line coming into turn number 1 for the first time here. 24 hours, 14 teams, 12 stints, and a whole lot of fun about to be had here. So we're just getting ready here. We're starting to see the double formation here already, right into NASCAR 3 very early on. These guys are ready to go. Good luck, Race Asylum and Team 2. Good luck, everyone. All right, we got all our information. We are good to go. You can see our pole sitter Antonio there giving a little wiggle back and forth here, just trying to build up as much heat into these tires as he can before the race start. Now, it's a video game, everybody says. Does that really matter? Yes, it does matter here in Gran Turismo 7. Tire temperatures are a real factor in these races. That means that these drivers come out on cold racing tires. They need to build the air temperature up in order to get their grip levels up. So here we go. And at any time here now, I believe we'll be seeing a race start. Antonio's gone. He's hit the gas pedal. We are green. We are live. We're going. And the Daytona 24-hour 2025 season now underway. And it's going to be Antonio to lead it off here coming into the first corner. And we're just keeping an eye. We got 3 wide in the mid-pack here. Ooh, that is tough through the left-hander, but we all make it nice and tidy. AHR, the Sector 7 racing team, and the RTR team going through 3 wide into turn number 1 there, but everybody makes it through nice and tidy. Antonio and Wid C here, both keeping their positions, as well as our Labs Dino Medi right here in 4th place, a reigning World Tour champion here on the track to start this race off for the Last Minute Racing team, I believe it is. We've got Evo here in the URA Esports Race Asylum team. We've got James here from AHR, and just getting around, I believe, Kemp there from the other Sector 7 team. So there's 3 Sector 7 racing teams here in split number 1 this season. We've got ERA's Lucas right in behind for Team Grid Life here. And everybody's going to try and stay in the slipstream here. We're not going to see any real massive battling here. Ooh, and we've got 1 car down and out here. Slugsy getting into a little bit of trouble here in the end of the infield section there, and picking up a little bit of damage there on his racing car. So that's unfortunate to start things off with here. A little bit of pre-race nerves perhaps, but it is Antonio taking the lead here, and teammate right in behind him, sister team. So slipstream engaged immediately here between these 2 drivers, and the draft is going to be massively important in this race here today. If you're going to want to stay with the pack and you're going to want to stay competitive with the teams that are on track here today, slipstreaming and draft racing around Daytona here is going to be very important. So keeping those gaps close for when you get out to these big banked runs to allow exactly what we're seeing from Evo here. Evo is going to tuck right in behind Medi, and he's just playing nice right now. Again, very early in the race. We're not going to see a ton of immediate jockeying for position. We've seen it right at the race start. Everybody kind of sorted themselves out, so to speak. Now we're going to see everybody worried about not losing that pack, and unfortunately for Slugsy, that's going to be the case here very early on. He's going to have to go and sort out some damage on his racing car, but that does mean he's going to come out with some clean air, but that's going to put him at a disadvantage right now with the pace of the pack, as the whole pack is basically nose to tail right now, with just a little bit of car length gaps in between groups of drivers at the moment. So Wid and Antonio, the two of the Sector 7 racing teams here, Boomers and I can't remember which one it is. I don't have my spotter's guide right in front of me here right now. Lots going on at the beginning of the race. We don't want to miss any of the action. We've got Medi here still in 4th place. We got Evo tucked right in behind here. And, you know, it's for the teams that have sister teams in split 1, it's a little bit easier to find a friend on track, so to speak, to work with. But for the teams that are only 1 team in split 1 here, they got to find a friend on track. So we're kind of seeing that right now. We've got Lucas sitting in behind Kemp here right now, and one of the other Lexuses on track, and they're now pushing each other up and down the racetrack here. So there is very specific rules here with the race here today as well for track limits outside of course, the game's infraction system that we obviously do help rely to manage track limit infractions and such like that. But a very special rule here for today is no car is allowed to cross the double yellow line on the bottom side of the racetrack on the apron. So if you're coming around the oval, you're allowed to be right there at the line, but you cannot dip your left tires past that double yellow line. If you do so, it will be met with some kind of consequence from the officiating staff in behind the scenes. So that is a very special legislation here for the race, and that is just to keep fair play in play. No cutting the track limits, keep it right, keep it in between the lines, keep it on the tarmac, let's keep it smooth and clean type deal. It eliminates any particular driver gaining, with air quotes, an advantage. So right now Antonio's doing a great job here. He's got 0.8 of a second over Wid C right now, trying to break the slip. Maybe he's not trying to break the slip, I'm not sure what. Obviously sister team behind there, that could be very beneficial, but trying to open the gap up, trying to get away from the pack right now. We've got Dino in third place in the Aston Martin, and this is the only Aston Martin here in Split 1 division as well. He is 0.9 of a second in behind Wid C here, so they're very right on the edge right now of that slipstream window. At about 8.5 tenths of a second here in these Group 3 cars is about where that slipstream window is, and that's where you'll start to grab a little bit of a free pull towards the rear bumper of the car you're chasing. Now, if you can get 2 or 3 cars to link, literally just hook up like a magnet, nose to tail, and just push each other down these big, long bank straights, those 3 cars will gain very large amount of miles per hour over an individual car driving without slipstream. So we got Evo making a move here. He's going to be looking to move himself up into P3. So very early on, we've got Esports Race Asylum's Evo behind the wheel right now, up 2 spots here on the grid. 5th place now, up into 3rd position. Nice little slipstream move there, coming into turn 1 on our Labs Dino from the Aston Martin team here. So Medi's just chilling behind right now in 4th position. Sorry, 5th position now, as Evo made his way around there just last lap. We got James still holding strong here in 6th place. We had a little bit wide coming out of the International Horseshoe there, which allows Kemp and Lucas to get a little bit of a run on him here. And very, very strategic driving very early on in the race. Typically we see a lot of good elbows out battling the earlier part of these races, jockeying for that early track position. But in the nature of Daytona, where the infield sector is crucial to get it all right so you don't lose that gap to the car in front. But it's all in setup for the NASCAR 1 and 2 and NASCAR 3 and 4 run here. Half the track is, of course, the banking here at Daytona, and that is where the slipstream becomes super important. These Split 1 drivers know that, and we're going to see them using it all day long to the best of their abilities. Overboost Racing Team are defending champions here right now. We'll sit on board with number 1 car here for a minute. And that's Azorian in behind the wheel, a very, very great racer. And currently about 1.5 seconds in behind 9th place Nibele? Hope I said that right. He is currently blue right now, and he has broken up a little bit of a gap on the 11th place driver with about 1.5 seconds as well. So a little bit off the pace here at the moment, it seems like, are some of the drivers in the back end of the field here. We've got Kevin Gran Turismo here in 11th position. We've got Eric Slim in 12th place here, a very, very efficient race car driver as well. Fool Tobias is in 13th position here in the AMG Mercedes Evo 2020 car. And then we've got Slugsy here in 14th place, and he has found somebody on the racetrack here. This could be very beneficial for the 13th and 14th place drivers here. Slugsy can find a way to close that gap up to Tobias and get into that slipstreaming. That may give them an opportunity to try and close some distance back up on the pack. So Slugsy and Tobias there, if they can hook up together, that may very well help them try to close up some of the gap, of course, from the early pit stops they had to make related to damage. There's Antonio, started on pole position, and he is starting to run away with this thing a little bit here early on. He's got the gap up to 1.6 seconds. We got Wid C here in second position right now, and he is moving and grooving here as well. currently sitting in second place, but he does have that C7 Corvette at Esports Race Asylum, starting to close in on the rear bumper a little bit here. So Evo closing in, got that gap down to under 0.4 of a second, and you can see a battle developing between Dino and Medi in behind here too. I guess the bigger question is, are we really seeing the battles, or are we just seeing some slipstream driving here so that these guys can close up the gap to the next group in front? It's all about the extra speed here at Daytona right now, and Evo is not playing around, man. He is on a mission here in that Corvette at Daytona right now. He is now going to go ahead and get up ahead of Wid C using again that slipstream in NASCAR 3 and 4 on that final straight. And moving into turn 1, he's going to hold the position there. I thought maybe Wood was going to respond there. It looked like he was thinking about taking a look up the inside, but he decides to tuck back in behind Evo and swap for second place as ERA's Evo now up 3 positions here at the start of this race. And now his mission is Antonio, 2 seconds up the road. So Wid C just settles in behind here in third place, and now he's got Dino on his tail here as well. So Dino and Medi only 0.9 of a second in behind here right now. They can get a good run through the West Horseshoe with a left-hander going into NASCAR 1 and 2 here. Then that may give them a good opportunity to make this a 4-car battle here, or a 4-car pack again, from third to basically fifth, or second to sixth place, we'll call it. So Dino coming in with the Aston Martin, and it's awesome to see that the Aston Martin is a viable car this season, because it really is a fun car to be in behind. It's got that V12 engine in it. I mean, the car has a lot of beans in it. The problem is it just hasn't been competitive in the class, but we've just recently seen some changes in the game right before the season started, and with the ability of the drivers allowed to this season tune their rear and front wings as well. So something we didn't touch on at the beginning of the race, each of these drivers are allowed to change the downforce on their front splitter and their rear wing. So that is a part of the reason why we're seeing some pretty crazy times, especially in the qualifying run yesterday. We've seen 42s in the qualifying run yesterday. I mean, that is just absolutely nuts so fast around here. So Lucas still settled in behind Kemp here in 6th and 7th position. Nothing has changed there except for the gap to the pack in front right now is about 3.3 seconds. So 6th and 7th place here are working real hard at just trying to keep that damage minimal right now. You can still see them. They're just entering the International Horseshoe as these guys are coming into the braking zone of the International Horseshoe. They're not that far off. 3 seconds isn't that much in the grand scheme of things. If those guys start to jockey for position a little bit or just start to battle a tiny little bit, that 3 seconds turns into 1.5 seconds really quickly. But it's Antonio here right now, and this guy is just on a tear. He is not taking any prisoners. He is not holding back, and he is trying to set his team and that Lexus up for a very solid run here today. 2.1 seconds after lap number 8 here over ERA's Evo. Evo has been the fastest mover here so far on the racetrack today, but Antonio is holding fastest lap currently with a 1:43.350. That's with a full tank of fuel. These drivers are going to start to burn this fuel off in these cars, and as we start to see our pit stop transitions, as the driver strategies and the team strategies come into play, we're going to see a less fuel load in the next pit stop, and that means that we're probably going to see that fast lap come down even more. So it's going to be interesting to see how low this fast lap gets. Right now, the bar is set at a 43.350. Predictions on how fast you think we're going to see that fastest lap today. Let's just see it up in the chat. What do you guys think? We've seen a 1:42.7 in the Super Bowl qualifying. That was the fastest lap in all of the qualifying sessions. It's a little bit of a baseline for everybody. What do you think we will see in the race over 24 hours today? What is our overall fastest lap going to be? What do you guys guess? A 1:41 says Cars. 42.6 says Nick. 42.8 says Gov. All right, let's keep going through our field here. I know we definitely obviously like to watch the leaders and what's going on up front, because that's just the way racing is, but we also love to go and love on all the other racers in the field as well. So we'd see here from Sector 7, we've got our Labdino here from Moosehead Racing. We've got Medi. I believe this is the last minute racing team he's in here with again. I just need to grab my spotter's guide. I'll do that when things calm down a little bit. We've got Lucas here, and Lucas has decided that he's now going to lead the charge here. So he has actually made his way around TCR's Kemp, and he's now leading this 3-car pack of Lucas, Kemp, and Nibele. And 3.8 seconds to Medi currently on the racetrack here. Nibele is also in a C7 Corvette here, and Overboost Racing Team up now 1 position from their starting position, currently up into 9th place, and only 2.5 seconds now in behind Nibele here. So it seems like they're starting to get settled into the race here a little bit, starting to try and close up that gap to the next pack. Kevin Gran Turismo is 4.6 seconds in behind the Overboost Racing Team here in that BMW M6. And for the RTR, I can't remember what that stands for. It's really cool though. But RTR team here, and 4.7 seconds. I mean, these are big names. I mean, Kevin Gran Turismo, a very well-known racer. Eric Slim, very well-known racer, especially in the endurance world, is currently sitting in 11th place. That fool Tobias, I don't know too much about this driver myself personally, sitting in 12th place. So we've got Slugsy in 13th, and we've got James in 14th, and has just recently made a pit stop here, so must have gotten himself into a little bit of trouble. Also a very fast driver. But I mean, we've also got a reigning world champion in the grid here, currently only sitting in 5th place. So this is a stacked series this season. So it is Antonio, and the gap is closing. Evo is not messing around either. Antonio has made a small mistake, or the pack has just picked up the pace, because that 3-second gap is gone. It has turned into a 1-second gap and closing. Evo is right there on the edge of that slipstream right now in that Corvette. And Esports Races on a mission here in stint number 1. So the Corvette is flying right now, and even though he's not holding the fastest lap on the racetrack, he is most certainly the fastest car currently on the racetrack, in my opinion. We've got Wid C here in 3rd position, and that Aston Martin is performing extremely well today, and we love, like I said, I love to see that. This was a what I like to call a sleeper car a few months ago before the major physics update happened, and then it just became, like I said, it just kind of fell out of that competitive range. But it's nice to see that it's back in competitive form again, because it's a fun car to drive. It really is, and good on these guys, because it's not easy to drive either. So Dino here in 4th place, speaking out the Astons. We got 1 in 3rd and 1 in 4th here currently, and he's got, again, reigning world champion in behind right now in that GTR in 5th place. Now this could very well just be Medi doing many things. He could just be chilling, saving fuel, trying to save his tires, and just not miss the marks. Don't give up that time. I mean, he's a lot of these drivers are World Tour drivers or World Tour caliber drivers, or right on the cusp of breaking into that kind of a pace level. Any one of these drivers can win this race at the end of the day. Any one of these teams. Your guess is as good as mine. Your guess is as good as mine. Nibele here in 8th place. We've got Azorian here in 9th, and it's 3.4 seconds, so losing touch a little bit with that pack up ahead of Lucas, Nibele, and Kemp. Kevin Gran Turismo here in 10th position, 5.4 seconds back, with Eric Slim both 3.5 seconds back at him. We move down, beautiful paint scheme, by the way, on that GTR. We've got Tobias here in the only Merc on the grid here, so we only have one Merc here in split 1. We've got Slugsy here in 13th position in one of the 3 GTRs, and we've got James here in one of the 3 BMW endurance models. Now, the BMW M6 model is restricted to only the endurance model. You are not allowed to use the BMW Sprint model in the championship. It is mandatory that if you're going to drive the BMW M6 as your car pick, that it is the endurance model. And there's reasons for that, but I'm not going to get too much into the details of that, because it's not what you see on paper that makes a difference. It's how the cars operate that makes the difference. Even though they're the same car on paper, they are completely different cars. All right, so 1.5 seconds. So Antonio's starting to open the gap back up a little bit there. Evo was almost got himself into a striking distance there. He was almost into the slipstream, and then he's just kind of giving a little bit up here and there. And I mean, we're talking a tenth here, a tenth there, give and take both ways. So this is some good, solid racing here very early on. We are 21 minutes into this bad boy. And I think we're going to see some close racing for a very large part of the day. The pit stop strategies are really going to kind of define, I think, what we're going to expect to see here throughout the 24 hours today. This first set of pit stops by the mass group or a split is going to kind of show us what we can expect to see the rest of the race. If they come out close together, we should expect to see a very tight race all race long. But if the pit stops start to space the drivers out, that could start to cause separation. So again, staying in the draft is going to be oh so important here today. Dino here in 5th place, so he has lost that position finally to Medi. Medi has finally navigated his way around Dino here, and Dino finds himself now down a spot into P5. We've got Lucas chasing in behind for Team Grid Life here, and about 5 seconds in behind that lead pack right now, but he is starting to open up that gap over the back pack as well. So he decided that he had more pace over the guys that he was working with there, and he has navigated around those drivers, and he's going to try now to close up to that front pack and see if he can get himself into that fight. Get Nibble here, he's 1.7 seconds in behind ERA's Lucas, and he's got a TCR Kemp all up in his rear bumper here right now. So Lexus versus Corvette here at the moment. And are we going to see a potential battle here from Kemp, or are we going to see these drivers continue to work together? I guess is the bigger question. It's tough decisions to make on these racetracks when you have 24 hours of racing. We're only in the 20 minute of the 24 hours. There's a position up ahead of you. You think you can get it, but isn't necessarily the best move to take it, especially with the nature of Daytona, where slipstream and drafting is important on the back half of the racetrack. You really got to weigh out your options when you start to close in on a driver, and I think that's probably what we're seeing here a little bit early on in this race. I think everybody's just feeling each other out a little bit, trying to get a gauge on the pace, and then kind of strategizing from there. I mean, every team comes in with a strategy, every team has a plan, but once that race starts, that plan can change. Snap of the finger. 143s, you're going to see him even faster yet, Ghost. Get to see him even faster yet. I don't know if we'll see a 41. I'm on the 42.4, 42.5, I think is what we'll see for our fastest lap here today, based off of all the behind-the-scenes intel I may have. Obviously, being on track during practice sessions as a broadcaster, we're very, very privileged in a sense, and it's very humbling. We get a lot of access to information that racers and fans don't necessarily get access to because we're broadcasters. We like to come in, we like to get our information, we like to do our research. So, we like to sit in on practice sessions with our friends or with our respective teams, and we like to just sit there and kind of see what we see. And it gives us a little bit of an idea come race time what to expect during a race if we're in there with the racers, with the teams, watching them test, tune, and get prepared for these races. So I've been doing that over the last couple of weeks as some of these teams have been preparing for this race here today. And I mean, qualifying says it all. The qualifying yesterday says it all. 42.7 Super Bowl. Absolutely incredibly fast. So we're going to see a 42. Once these drivers get into their strategies and they start lowering the fuel loads in these race cars, and fresh soft tires or medium tires, whichever it is that the strategy is going to be for these drivers, I do suspect we're going to see a lot of soft tires here today. I think it's going to be a toss-up between the two-stop and the one-stop, between the strategies. I don't think we're going to see too much different strategy of that variation. We're probably going to see a two-stop soft or a one-stop soft attempt, and I think that's going to come down to the overall pace of each of the drivers behind the wheel of the car on each of their respective stints. It's probably going to determine on whether they're two-stopping or one-stopping. It's arguably quicker to two-stop if you don't make the mistake and you absolutely send that thing on the lowest amount of fuel that you can take for a stint. The one-stop means you need to take more fuel, you need to manage the car, and be a lot more consistent. So the difference between the two strategies, from what I've seen behind the scenes for the viewers home, a little bit of perspective, because I love to give the viewers perspective, is about 5 seconds difference between the two strategies. So a two-stop is about 5 to 7 seconds faster than the one-stop in a mistake-free 2-hour stint. So that's kind of what we're looking at here, and I think that's what we should expect to see today. I could be wrong. They could throw a curveball at us, but that's what I expect to see today anyways, initially based off, again, the behind-the-scenes intel that we do get as broadcasters. So Evo here is doing a great job right now. He isn't able to close the gap up on Antonio at the moment, but he has definitely stabilized that gap. Evo hasn't let that gap grow anything past 1.5 seconds at this point. He's at 1.3 currently. And it's kind of just been bouncing back and forth. The 10th here and 10th there. Corvette's creeping. It is. Evo is up 3 positions here from race start already. We'd see here in 3rd place, down 1 spot from his starting spot on the grid, and no panic in this driver. I've been very fortunate. I was privileged to have Wid join us with the Nürburgring 24-hour race a few weeks ago for charity, and you want to talk about a cool, calm, collected driver. It was a treat having some of the Sector 7 racing guys come in to race with us for the charity race a few weeks ago, and Wid C was again one of those drivers, and he is so cool, calm, and collected. There's no panic in this guy. There's no stress in this guy's voice when things are getting heated or things are going awry. I mean, this guy is a cool customer behind the wheel of the race car. That's the type of driver you definitely want starting a stint for you when the pressure's on. It's a very, very solid racer here, Wid C is, and again, just very privileged to get an opportunity to race with Wid C here recently for a charity fundraiser event. So it's cool. It's cool to be able to drive with higher pace racers and hang out with higher pace racers and just see how they think and they process and they handle the racetrack and situations compared to an average driver like the majority of us are. And then we got Mehdi here, and he's up in 4th place here, and he's really just seems to be just trying to kind of control his pace right now. He's not sitting close enough in the slipstream to where dirty air is really going to be affecting the car too much. He's getting a little bit of that, what we call aero wash in a sense, but he's almost at a perfect distance where he can just run his line, run his pace, and he's still just outside of the slipstream, which is unfortunate for trying to save fuel. But I really do think that he's just pacing. He's just pacing the car right now, making sure that he gets it into its pit window. Our Labdino here in 5th place, 3.3 seconds in behind Mehdi, and then we're starting to see a little bit of separation here, but Lucas was 5 seconds in behind this pack, and he's now only 2.3 seconds in behind Dino. Now, Dino's losing a little bit of pace with the pack here currently, but Lucas is starting to close in on that 5th place driver here. It was, like I said, 5 seconds to 5th place there at one point. Now we're down to 2.2, so slowly but surely, he is nibbling away at that gap. We've got Nibble A here. He's 2.5 seconds in behind Lucas. Lucas is slowly but surely just putting a little bit of gap between himself and that Corvette, but Nibble A also recently navigating around TCR's Kemp here. So Kemp is 1.2 seconds in behind Nibble A right now, and everybody's just settling in. It's the beginning of the season. Every one of these teams knows that each one of these teams has a very stacked driver list. Very, very quick, very efficient, very, very good race car drivers in all of these Split 1 teams, and it shows. It shows. I mean, our defending champions are currently sitting in 9th place on the grid. They started in 10th place, and they're 3.3 seconds in behind Kemp here right now. So Overboost Racing a little bit on the back foot here in round number 1 so far. Let's go to the Luke. Let's see. Tobias here in 11th place. 1.5 second penalty we're seeing here from one of our race control officials for Evo there. So that has cost him 2 positions here on the racetrack. Backtracking, and Jason, I mean, that's the way it is. Like I said, we do use the Gran Turismo penalty system, so we do use the track officiating system built within our platform here in Gran Turismo 7. And what that system does, for the viewers that are watching at home or unsure, is if the drivers cut a track corner, cut a curve, take too much liberties around the corner, the game will hand them a time penalty to adjust for what the game determines is time gained in an unfair way, essentially. So typically we'll see half-second and 1 second penalties for track limit infractions. In this case, where Evo had a 1.5 second penalty, that tells me he probably had one infraction in one corner and he had a larger infraction in a separate corner, which amounts up to 1.5 seconds. Typically the scale here at Daytona is 1 second and half-second penalties. The only way you see more than that is if you're stacking them up, or if you cut the pit lane solid white line exiting pit lane, then you could receive a 3-second penalty for that. Other than that, the only special rule here for the race again is not crossing the double yellow line on the bottom apron of the racetrack. So as we come through the left-hander right here, we can see that one's fine on the top side there. That's no problem. It's this one right down on the bottom left here. So as you see the drivers coming down the racetrack, this double yellow line, great shot by the cameraman. These drivers cannot go below that line. Basically, if they cross the threshold of the tarmac in between those two yellow lines, they could be facing repercussions from stewarding officials here behind the scenes. So it is very special legislation within the rules of this race and the championship, and all drivers are required to follow said rules. So, and that's just a fair play. It's a fair play thing for the race, and I love it. I love the fact that we got to keep it in between the lines. So Nibble A here, 3.2 seconds in behind Lucas. We're just kind of, again, just starting to very quickly. The pace of each driver in behind the wheel right now is kind of starting to show that full Tobias here. He's got 25 seconds, so he's got a set of pit stops in behind the rest of the field. We've got Slim here in 13th, who just recently made a pit stop as well. I mean, I think that may have been scheduled. I could be wrong. It seems a little early for a scheduled stop, but if he's two stopping, maybe not. 500 sold out already. Just catching up on the chat here. The chat is popping. Welcome in, everybody. We appreciate all the support as well. I just want to say, thank you from the International Racing Organization for all the continued support from our viewers. We can't do it without the viewers. The viewers are the reason why this continues to happen season in and season out. And after an inaugural 2024 season and an absolutely great season with a great set of champions, the series just blew up. I mean, the IRO doubled in size in 2 months. And between Split 1 and Split 2, that's right, you heard me right, there is actually 2 splits this season here from International Racing Organization. Split 1 will be the live broadcast split. Split 2 will not be live broadcast, so you'll have to tune into your local streamers to catch any glimpses of the Split 2 races, and they're done at different weekends. So it just goes to show the growth of the interest, and when you see growth and interest of the caliber of drivers that have come in as well this season and the teams, it tells us that it's solid. Everything is good. It's right. You know, the series is in a great direction. The rule set is beautiful. The racing is fun. Everything around the International Racing Organization is in the right place, and that's why we've seen such massive growth over the last couple of months. So from the International Racing Organization, we can't say this enough today. Thank you, everyone, for your support to the racers, to the teams, to the volunteers, and especially to you guys and gals at home, the viewers. All those things combined allow us to have what should be the most epic 2025 Endurance Championship in Gran Turismo 7 this year, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. Might be a little biased, but it's setting up to be absolutely legendary throughout the year this year. So Medi now up into third place again. Obviously, Evo with the 1.5 second penalty earlier, losing a couple of spots here down into fourth place. So up 1 spot from where he started on the grid now. But that's the battles of racing. You know, you make those little mistakes, you got to pay the consequence for the mistake, and then you just got to get back on it and just try to close the gap. And that's exactly what Evo's doing here right now. Had made a couple little mistakes. Okay, he paid his consequence. He lost a couple spots on the in the race for it, and he just tucks in behind and continues doing what he does, putting the pedal to the metal and letting the rubber do the rest. Dino here in 5th place. Another pen for Evo just then. Potentially, yep. The Le Mans chicane, or formerly known as the bus stop, definitely a very high-risk area for penalties for these drivers. The track limit officials are very, very intentively watching the Le Mans chicane and the drivers coming through there to make sure they're not taking too much liberties on the curbs. Now, with that being said, you can take a little bit of liberty in a sense, but not as much as you used to be able to. So, the track officials are ruthless. They don't care. They will hand penalties out all day long. Ooh, we got a little battle happening here. There we go. All right, so we've got Tobias and James here in 11th and 12th place. We've got Slim just in behind there as well in 13th. So we got a 3-car battle here for currently 11th position. So let's see if we can get some juicy stuff here. Appreciate you, my guy. Appreciate you. Are the tires on the vet? The tires on the vets a little more aggressive than the majority of the cars in the field. However, if you know how to drive the C7 Corvette, it's just as good as the rest of the cars on tires and fuel. It's just a lot of car management. The C7 Corvette requires a lot of car management to not destroy your tires. It is very heavy on your tires, and it can be very heavy on the fuel if driven improperly. Now, keeping in mind that the teams are allowed to adjust their front aero and their rear wings this season, which means that they can adjust the downforce on their cars, or remove downforce, whatever the case may be. So that is the one change this season from last season. It's still a BOP series. It's still a no tuning series in a sense. The only thing that drivers are allowed to touch as far as setup goes is brake bias, TCS, ABS, and now some front and rear aero. And I'm in split 2 with my team, and I gotta tell you, that little adjustment just with the front clip and the rear wing easily finds 1 to 1.5 seconds on your lap time around this racetrack if you get it dialed in properly. So it actually makes a pretty significant difference. So with that being said, being able to adjust the front wing and the rear wing could also affect a few other things with these race cars. Now, we're used to driving for the most part on a BOP no tuning series with brake bias. It's cut and dry what you're going to expect out of tire wear and fuel consumption out of these cars. But when you start getting into altering things of the car, the way that the car grabs the track or the way that the car accelerates, i.e. downforce, that is also going to affect potentially tire wear and fuel usage as well. So some of the cars that may struggle potentially with tire wear or fuel consumption may be able to tune that out in a sense with the downforce in these cars to potentially help the tires wear a little bit better or use just a little bit less fuel as well. So the teams and the drivers do have a few tools this season at their disposal to help get these cars in the absolute best optimal condition they can, and that's why we're seeing the times that we're seeing with these drivers on full fuel, is because these drivers do have somewhat of a tuned setup car this season. And really, in all honesty, I mean, the only thing that changes is the speed of the cars, essentially. It still comes down to the skill of the driver behind the wheel of the car, being able to navigate the car around the track as quickly as these drivers are currently. The fastest lap is still 43.350, so that was set very, very early on as well in the stint here, like lap 2 or 3, and hasn't been touched since. So we should start to see that maybe potentially get touched here as, like I said, our pit stop sequences start to come into place here a little bit. But we've got Evil coming into pit lane here. He's got 45% fuel currently in his car. You guys can see that on the screen there. And I'm just going to take a look at his tire wear because I can see that. And we'll go compare it to our race leader's Lexus right now. And in all honesty, Evil's doing a great job at managing that Corvette. I'm not going to say where everything's at. There's a reason why we don't show that information. So I'm not going to give it away. But he did a really good job at managing that Corvette. I'm going to put it that way. I know that car very well. It's a car that I have many, many, many thousands of miles on in this game, and he's doing a fantastic job at managing that race car. Well, we hope you're feeling. Hope you get better soon, Payme. Feel better, my guy. All right. Ooh, We got Dino here in 4th place. Let's do a quick little flip through the grid here, see what we see. We got Lucas is now only a second in behind Dino here, up into 5th place. Of course, we do have a pit stop sequence starting to happen here, so we'll start to see, I would assume, some of these drivers coming in. And 23, so that is going to be what appears to be a 2-stop strategy coming from Esports Race Asylum here in stint number 1. The indicator of that 2-stop strategy is we're going to start seeing these drivers pitting within the next 2 or 3 laps. And as I say that, our leaders are coming in here. So we got Antonio coming in, 46% fuel. We got Wid C coming in with 43% fuel. We got Medi coming in. He's got 49% fuel. We got Dino coming in with 43% fuel. We got Lucas coming in with 46% fuel. We've got Kemp coming in with 48% fuel. So you can see the fuel load is significantly different between all of the drivers. We got Azorian coming in from Overboost Racing, currently in 8th place here with 45% fuel as well. So you can see the difference in fuel load. 43% to 46% fuel in a tank, if they're taking the same amount of fuel in that pit stop, is 3 to 4 seconds gained over that driver that had 3 liters less fuel in pit lane. So when I say drivers that we would expect to see really pushing the edges and the limits of this race are just chilling, there's a reason for it, and that's why. Endurance racing is much different than sprint racing, especially over a 24-hour period. You're not going to win this 24-hour Daytona in stint number 1. You're only going to win this race at the 24-hour mark, being the first car to take the checkered flag. That's the only way you win this race. So you're not going to do it in the first hour. So what is the point in absolutely driving the car so hard and wearing it out so early that you're potentially not going to have any car left on the 24-hour mark? You don't. You just chill, you hit your marks, you try to maintain pace with who you want to maintain pace with, don't let them get away, and you settle that battle in the last 2 hours, not the first 2 hours. So we're going to see some patience from these drivers at points in this race as well. We've seen quite a bit of patience very early on here already. Evo makes a very quick move here up into 4th place ahead of Wid C out of the pit stop sequence here. So Evo up a spot here over Wid, and they've got 4.4 seconds over Antonio. Now with that being said, Nibele hasn't pit yet. Medi has pit. Medi jumped everybody in pit lane, moves up into 2nd place. So when Nibele finally does decide to make that pit stop, he will relinquish that lead to Medi. So pit stop sequences changing the field a little bit there. Evo in 4th place. We've got Wid in 5th. We've got Lucas from Team Grid Life here up in 6th position. Kevin Gran Turismo's right hot on his heels, half a second in behind. Dino's right there, 1.5 seconds in behind in 8th place. We've got GCR's Kemp in 9th position. We've got Azorian in 10th place. We've got James in 11th. We've got Slim in 12th, Eric's Racing. Tobias just coming in for his pit stop here. We've got Slugsy, who had an early struggle here, but is moving and grooving now, and he's got about a minute from the race leader here currently, so still on the lead lap, but about half a racetrack in behind here at the moment. Alright, so our current race leader is Nibele, and he just has not made his pit stop yet. He will need to go to roughly lap 34-35 if he's going to be on the one-stop strategy. We'll have to wait and see what he does here this lap. If he doesn't peel into pit lane at the end of this lap, I would assume that this driver is going to be on a one-stop. We're just going to sit with our race leader here currently. I'm keeping my eye on the track radar. We got cars close together, but we don't have anything brewing at the moment. Everybody's playing nice and just trying not to lose, like I said, lose each other, right? So you can see Medi is about 5.5 seconds in behind here right now, and it does appear that we're going to see a one-stop strategy from some of the drivers here. So interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see how that pans out against the two-stop. So it's going to be Medi here. He's in 2nd, and we'll stay in 2nd for a little bit longer yet, unless he happens to catch up to Nibele, which is always a possibility. Remember, these drivers have pit. They're on fresh racing tires, and they've got lower fuel load, which should make the cars relatively faster, where our race leader has the low fuel load, but he's on worn-out tires. They're 26 old lap tires now. You know, they're starting to show their age a little bit, which means that they're going to slow down. on the overall lap time. So it will just be a matter of time before the race leaders do eventually pull up to the backside of Nivelay here. And I mean, Medi is just chewing time out of him here right now. He's almost taken a second out of him just this lap alone. Antonio very close in behind. Evo is 4.7 seconds in behind those two right now, so the fuel load difference making a huge difference there for Evo. So we have had a viewer talking about the Corvette and the tire management. Evo did a great job at managing his car for fuel. He didn't come in with the lowest amount of fuel in that pit stop sequence, but that 4 liters less that he had over than Medi made 5 seconds of difference coming out of pit lane. So hugely important on how you decide to make your choices in these races. And Medi stayed cool, calm, collected. He didn't force anything. He just sat close enough in behind a driver to save fuel and use a little bit of slipstream to maintain a good solid pace, and came in with the most amount of fuel in that first pit stop sequence than any other driver. He was rewarded by jumping the field. So I mean, strategy is key. It is a big important part of racing, especially endurance racing. So right off the bat, I believe Last Minute Racing is looking very solid strategy wise there. That was some great calls. Wid? Yes sir. 6th place. And we got Wid just coming into pit lane here. Oh, Wid picking up, having an incident here on the racetrack. He's got some front splitter damage, and we're going to see him come into pit lane to correct said damage here. So, super unfortunate there for Wid. Missed what happened there, but currently sitting in 10th place, and that may drop him down further. He's in 12th. He may come out in the back here. Highly unfortunate there for the Sector 7 racing team, but I mean, that's racing. You know, we make mistakes, and sometimes you gotta pay the price for them. Go Dino, go Dino. All right, so Eddie, Antonio, 1 second in behind. Evo, 4.7 seconds, not gaining, not losing. Lucas, 5 seconds. Well, didn't really know that the gap between Team Grid Life and the Esports Race Asylum team. So right now it's 5 seconds. He's got 1.9 seconds over Dino. And Moosehead Racing doing a great job here right now. Loose Moose Racing, I guess it is. Here right now in 6th place in that Aston Martin as well. We've got Kevin Gran Turismo. He's in that M6 Endurance model, and it's something Racers. Raw Talent Racing. There it is. It's on the car. All I gotta do is look. RTR here. So that one was eluding me. I was looking at the spotter guide last night, just trying to remember the car numbers to the team names, and for some reason that one just was very elusive. We have TCR Kemp here from Sector 7 team. I believe this is the McCougar team, if I'm not mistaken. We've got Azorian here from the Overboost Racing team, and just only the one team this season, I think. I think they took all their top drivers and amalgamated them into their split one team this season. I could be wrong, but I think that's how it broke down. And we got Wid C. We just seen coming to do a damage repair here. So from 5th place, 4th place, down to 10th place there with that pit stop. So that was a crucial moment there for Wid. And now 4.8 seconds in behind the Overboost Racing team car, number 1 car here. And definitely has some work cut out for him here. But like I said, he doesn't panic, Wid. He just keeps calm and keeps moving on. So we'll see what he can do here with the rest of the stint. We have Slim here in 12th place. We've got Tobias here in 13th. And a beautiful looking Mercedes. The only Mercedes on the grid here today for split one as well. 30 seconds in behind. Still currently on the lead lap. And Slugsy here as well. Still on that lead lap. I mean, they're still half a racetrack away yet from the race leaders. So, not stressing. Nobody's stressing there right now. Thankfully, for the drivers that have had a moment on the racetrack or made a mistake or have had to repair their cars already, it is a 24-hour race. We're only 50 minutes into the 24-hour race. There is lots of time to make up for these mistakes still. So the biggest thing is for the drivers and the teams not to start panicking because they made that mistake. And there we go, a battle for the lead there as Medi gets the job done coming up into turn 1. And I mean, that's just cause and effect of a new set of tires over an old set of tires. Great pass there from Medi. Let's go take a second look, shall we? I mean, this is just textbook Daytona racing right here. You get into the slip, you get nice and tight. You don't want to get too close where you bump the car by accident, but you have to be close enough to where you actually pull out. You can get the pass done. Passing on the outside of the banking at Daytona is extremely difficult to do, and it has to be timed extremely well. And that's exactly what we've seen right there from Medi. So now in the race lead here is Medi. And Nibali here is now trying to hold off Antonio, but Antonio gets a nice charge on him there. And he's going to get the job done there through the left-hander. Nice and easy, and not a lot of contesting here from Nibali. Obviously, this driver realizes what the scenario is here. He knows these guys have pit. He knows these guys are on fresh tires. And he knows that he's on almost 30 lap old tires at this point now. He's in the slipstream there. He's using the pace of the leaders at this point now to get free speed, and that's smart as well here. So I would assume that we're going to see him dive into pit lane next, like I said, about lap 34, 35. I expect to see that we'll see Nibali come in for his stop. If he stops now, he may not have enough to make to the end of the stint. So when you're on the one-stop strategy as par for the course, you got to stick to it at that point. So, barring any major circumstances, of course. So he's in that strategy, and he's going to ride it out. But that is going to cost him some track time here, I think, as Medi and Antonio have already navigated around, and now he's got to worry about IRO's Evo coming down in behind. 4.1 seconds is the gap, and I do suspect we're going to see that gap close. Lucas is still 5 seconds in behind IRO's Evo right here, so Team Grid Life, the only car here for Team Grid Life this season, and they are in split 1, so 5 seconds in behind Evo currently, and managing that gap right now is where it was last time we went through the field. So it seems like the racers have kind of settled into the race, and they've settled into their pace now, and it's just a matter of how can I close that gap, and how can I get rid of the guy chasing me behind. Dino 2.5 seconds in behind Lucas here right now in that Aston Martin, and the Aston Martin started really strong. Both Astons started off really strong. Now granted, Wid had a moment where he picked up damage on the track, and that's why Wid has his Aston down the field a little bit here now. But even with that being said, he was starting to lose a little bit of pace on the field here in the middle part of the stint. So I feel the Aston is very strong in the early part of the run, but I feel like as the run gets longer, that car just isn't as strong right now. That's just what it seems like to me right now. It seems like the Lexus, the Corvettes, and the GTRs are really just kind of stable. They're just a flat line across the board. But this Aston Martin and the BMW start off really strong, but it seems like as the tires start to wear down and the car gets a little bit lighter, it seems like these cars start to slow themselves down a little bit. So we'll be keeping our eyes on that throughout the 24-hour race here today. Again, being able to tweak the cars slightly to get more speed or get more turning out of them, get more grip, whatever it is you're looking for as the driver, and depending on the combination you're racing. We're going to see a battle for position here as Kemp's going to get around Kevin Gran Turismo here. So TCR's Kemp going to get it done for 7th place there, and again, just another textbook move coming into turn 1 at the end of the straight. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. He shows very good position. Both drivers are more than aware. He shoots a little bit wide going into turn 1 there, but Kevin Gran Turismo, seen that coming, and he reacted accordingly, and any major contact there was avoided, and both drivers get through neat and tidy, safe and sound. So it's just textbook passing here at Daytona is what we're seeing right now from these drivers. They're using the straight, using the slipstream to their advantage, and getting the job done coming into the corners. So very clean, very precise passing here right now. Nibali in 3rd place, already 4.8 seconds in behind Medi, and Antonio, and Evo is going to be looking to make a move here, probably leading up to the start-finish line out of the Le Mans chicane here. So Evo just needs a good run here in behind the other C7 Corvette, and should be able to get the job done by the start-finish line here. It should got himself locked into the slipstream here at this point. You can see that slipstream engaged, and Evo is closing quickly. He'll pull out. Oh, he's going to give him a push there. deciding that it was just a little too early to try to make that move. He's probably going to try and get the move done coming into turn 1 here. And he is going to take a look down the inside there, deep on the brakes. Ooh, and again, it's much of the same scenario as last time, just getting a little bit deep into the corner there. The trailing driver, recognizing that, just making sure that there is no major contact made there. And Evo moves up into 3rd place there, and Nibble down into 4th place, still needing to put a pit stop in place here. But the advantage to the 1 stop is right now it looks like he's at the disadvantage. Yes, he kind of is. He's going to pit here in about 2 or 3 laps, but then he's not going to have to pit again for the rest of the race. So when the remaining drivers make their 2nd pit stop on the 2-stop strategy, Nibble won't be pitting at all. So in a sense, that could potentially put him up in the top 6 if it plays out like the first half of the pit stop sequences have. So is the 1-stop strategy the losing strategy? Right now, definitely cannot say that is the case, because currently it has Nibble up in a pretty good position on the racetrack at the moment. So Medi here 1 second ahead of Antonio, and how things have changed here. Antonio now chasing Medi down, and Medi's doing just enough to make sure that Lexus is not getting any free pull here in the NASCAR 1 and 2, 3 and 4 banking. So Medi doing World Tour champion things and managing to race right now from behind the wheel of his race car. We've got IRO's Evo here in 3rd position, and I mean, this guy has been flying today and currently holding fastest lap on the racetrack right now, as a matter of fact, with a 1:43.1, and that is currently the fastest lap of the day. Currently, that will most likely change throughout the day, but that's a pretty fast lap already. 43.1 in stint 1. We've got Nibble here in 4th place, and Lucas is trying to close Nibble down here. It's about 5 seconds behind, and you can see the timing is just nibbling down a little bit here as he comes around the racetrack. Dino is 2.2 seconds in behind Lucas, so Dino now starting to close in a very small amount here on ERA's Lucas 369. So Dino working that Aston right now. I'm sitting here talking about how the Aston seems like it's not quite as strong in the latter part of the run. Again, you know, this is kind of showing that they pit 6-7 laps ago, about 10-12 minutes ago. The car's on fire right now, but near the end of the stint, I suspect we're going to see it start to drop off again. So we got a Zorian here, Overboost Racing Team, the 01 car, our defending champions here, up into 8th position right now. He's got 3.8 seconds in behind TCR's Kemp in the Sector 7 Racing McCougar team, I believe that is. So some work to do here for the Overboost Racing Team here today right now, but again, it is a long race. 24 hours is a very long time, and these guys are not going to win this race in the first hour. So they're all more than aware of that, and everybody's literally just trying to not bleed time at this point. So we got Wid here in 10th place. He did pick up some front splitter damage in a incident somewhere on the racetrack. I'm not sure if it was a self-induced incident or what, because we missed it, but currently down into 10th place, so down about 6 spots here right now. It started in 2nd position as well on the grid, so not ideal. How a driver would like to get his stint underway, but he still has an hour left of this stint yet, and is closing in on Kevin Gran Turismo here. So Wid is looking to close in on the BMW up ahead here and try and grab position. Looking for the onboard. There it is. So as you can see, Wid's got nothing to worry about in behind him right now. The nearest driver is Team Eric's Racing Slim, and he's got about 10 seconds. So the focus really is this BMW there, and boy, absolutely massive closing on the brakes right there, almost to the point where he almost hit the rear bumper of that BMW. And Wid is going to make the pass here. So side by side as we head into the kink, and job done. Wid C moves up into 9th position. That's a great job there from Wid. And we'll go take a look at it from our camera view so you guys can see the whole deal. And just, you know, nice clean pass. Got a good run out of the International Horseshoe. Got the inside line going into the kink, and gets the job done. Easy peasy. So, up in the 9th place here now is Wid C, and 2.8 seconds to the Overboost Racing BMW up ahead now. 8.4 seconds in behind Kevin Gran Turismo is Eric's Racing Slim. And James in behind him by 1.3 seconds here in one of the BMWs here as well. Tobias in the Merc sitting in 13th position, and we got Slugsy here in the GTR in 14th place, and still on that lead lap. All these drivers are still on that lead lap. Nice slip assist lap. All right, so Antonio here now ahead of Medi. So we just unfortunately missed the pass for the lead here, of course, because we're watching other battles going on the racetrack. That's the way it always goes. So it is now Antonio back up front, and Medi now sitting in behind Antonio. So Antonio has gotten the race lead back, but it is definitely between these two drivers here right now in stint number 1, as they are controlling the pace of the race. But you know, last season, at this point in the race, we've seen pretty big separation already, very early on in the race. We have separation, but it's not massive separation. There is lots of potential for battles here still. Lucas now up into 4th place here. He's got 2.6 seconds over our lab's Dino, and he's got 8 seconds to that podium group up ahead here. And Evo is the target there in 3rd place with that C7 Corvette from Esports Race Asylum. Our lab's Dino here, Loose Moose Racing Team, has been doing a great job here. He's in 5th place. He's got 2.5 seconds in behind Lucas. He hasn't been able to close in on Lucas, but he also hasn't lost any time on Lucas either. So pacing the 4th place driver here right now is Dino, and doing a great job again in that Aston Martin V12 Vantage. We got TCR Kemp here for the Sector 7 McCougar team, now up into 6th place, so up a couple of spots from the beginning of the race. I believe they started in 8th position. I could be wrong with that. I think it was 8th though. So up into 6th place here, doing a pretty good job early on here in our race today. We do have Azorian in 7th position here. Don't cut yourself short, ATB. You give everybody nice, consistent, smooth laps. Don't stress yourself. Azorian here in 7th place, our defending champions. Our 7th place car here right now, and of course you can see this car is carrying the number 1, which means they are our reigning champions from the 2024 Endurance Championship season here from International Racing Organization. Again, huge shout out to the Overboost Racing team, and a massive congratulations to that team for their pretty dominant performance in 2024. This season, whole different game. This is a whole different season in 2025. The competition has probably gone up 4 times, and there's 2 splits. So there's a total of 26 or 27 teams currently right now between the 2 splits. So thank you from IRO to everybody, to the teams, the racers, the volunteer staff, the broadcasters, and of course you guys and gals at home, the viewers. Can't do it without all these pieces of the puzzle coming together to make a big picture. So a huge thank you from the International Racing Organization to everyone involved, whether you be a viewer or whether you be a competitor on the racetrack. Teamwork makes the dream work. All right, so Wid up into 8th place here now. Wid is taking names and asking questions later right now. He's just moving, trying to just make up for the mistake. I'm assuming at this point he's trying to close up as much time as he can before he hands it over to the next pilot. We got Slim here in 9th position in GTR. He's got 13 seconds to Wid C here right now, and he's got about 7/10 of a second over James here, currently in 10th place for AHR. So I mean, battle can happen anywhere on this racetrack at any time. There's still plenty of little 2-car packs everywhere, essentially, that are battling each other, working with each other. We need another Sector 17. 27 team says Nick. 1 spot left. So if there's teams out there that are interested in coming and trying out some endurance racing on a huge scale, IRO does have a split 2 spot available for a team that wants to come in and register. For more information, just hit one of the mods up in the YouTube channel here, and they'll get you guys in. Alright, so Nibble here in 11th place. So has now made that pit stop. Made that pit stop about 2 laps ago, maybe 3 laps ago, judging by the tires, tire wear I see. And most certainly confirming this is going to be a one-stop strategy. So right now that puts him a minute behind the race leader on the one-stop strategy. We'll have to wait and see what that weighs out in once the pit stops happen. We could see that gap probably somewhere at around 30 seconds. So in the case for Nibble, is the one-stop better strategy? With the pace of the field here today, maybe not. Too early to tell. Kevin Gran Turismo here in 14th position. So let's get back to this battle here. I mean, I don't really want to call it a battle because... perfect. YouTube channel has a Discord link. There we go. They are on top of it. You're tapped out. Yeah, aren't all your racers already on track, Nuke? Yeah, I'm not going to call this a battle. I don't think this is a battle. I think this is Medi. Again, using his brain here, 200 IQ right now. He had the race lead. Antonio took the race lead back. And now Medi's just sitting in behind again at about 3 or 4 car lengths in behind. Just enough where he's on the slip, but not enough where that dirty air is really affecting the car's turn-in ability and exit ability. So he's probably just sitting in behind Antonio here, probably just sipping fuel and saving tires again. Medi is on point, it seems like, here this morning with that strategy and how he's approaching this race. Now, I mean, I'm just speculating. I'm just a broadcaster. I don't know. Just because I'm a broadcaster doesn't mean I know. I'm just speculating. Educated guess. We got ERA's Evo here in 3rd place and starting to actually use touch a little bit with the top 2 drivers here right now. 7.9 seconds is the gap. Now, with that being said, we have seen some penalty trouble for Evo here at certain times on a racetrack as well. So, I mean, you know, every half-second track limit penalty here at Daytona, where the penalty serving line is at the end of NASCAR 4 before the kink to the start-finish line. I mean, that costs you a second and a half. A 1 second penalty is going to cost you 2 to 3 seconds here at Daytona with the pace these racers are racing today. So every penalty is costing you big time. So when you stack up a half-second penalties over the course of the last 40 laps, I mean, that's 6 to 12 seconds lost in time to the racers in front of you, essentially, and behind you. So penalty trouble is definitely, penalties are going to be key here today. Staying away from the track officials and their very, very watchful eyes is going to be big for the teams and the drivers today, as far as continuing just to keep a consistent pace around the racetrack. Luke is still in 4th place over Dino, chasing about 3 seconds now the gap. So again, not really losing or gaining is Dino on Lucas. He's about a half-second down from the last time we checked a few laps ago. So again, very equally paced, these two here, and it's unfortunate that they weren't closer together at this point, because they may be able to work together to start pushing Evo up into 3rd place. You know, equally paced drivers is the best scenario for drafting and slipstreaming. It's just whether or not they can at this point hook up and make something happen. We've got TCR's Kemp here in 6th place, and I mean, no man's land in a sense almost there. He's got 9.6 seconds behind Dino, but he does have a Azorian closing in here from ORT. Now, Azorian's up into 7th place here, so the Overboost Racing team's starting to climb the field a little bit here. They started in 10th place at the beginning of the race, so now currently sitting in 7th place, so they are currently up 3 spots from where they started here in the race, and Medi coming in with a 1:43 flat 3.9. Crazy lap, almost into 42s here already today. Got Wid C here in 8th position, and 2.7 seconds is that gap to Azorian. He's still up in 8th place, and he's still trying to track Azorian down, but Azorian seems to have picked his pace up a little bit. So with that being said, that means that Wid C is also closing in on Kemp. We got Slim here, 16.5 seconds in behind Wid C. This is technically the first driver in no man's land at this point. He's got 16 seconds in front of him, and he's got 14 seconds in behind him right now. So clean air and no pressure for Slim right now, and they should just be able to put in some really good quality pacing qualifying laps, essentially. But the downside is he doesn't have a partner or a buddy to use slipstream and try to gain that extra speed around the racetrack to bring the lap times down. So being by yourself here is a little bit difficult when there's drivers in packs running around the racetrack. So Tobias here in 11th position. We got Slugsy here up into 12th place. So, early mistake made by Slugsy here, but put him right down to the back of the field. But now he's got himself up into P12 here, so he's starting to pick up some pieces here a little bit as he goes. Definitely seems to have settled into the race here. I think what we've seen from Slugsy at the beginning of the race was just some early race nerves. Just made a little mistake, and unfortunately that mistake caused him a front clip repair. But he seems to have really settled in and really just clocking in some good solid laps here now in the latter part of the stint here. So good for Slugsy to collect himself in behind the wheel and just get that car back in motion. We got James here in 14th, and he's just made a pit stop, and I'm going to assume this is going to be his final stop. But I think we're seeing some drivers having some just making the mistakes. The left-hander coming out of the infield heading into NASCAR 1 and 2 is a very flat, slippery spot of the racetrack. Obviously, you're trying to maximize your exit heading onto the oval, so you're always wanting to get on the power as quickly as possible, right where we just seen our race leaders come through here. But that could also cause you to just over torque your car a little bit, lose the back end coming out of the left-hander, and that can cause you to slide down into the infield or up into the wall onto the banking. And I think that is where some of the issues are coming from some of the drivers here today. That is one of the most troublesome spots here in Daytona as far as these GT3 cars go. On Gran Turismo 7 is that 90-degree left-hander before we come out into NASCAR 1 and 2 banking. It's just the nature of no camber, very flat surface, and it's a little bit bumpy there too as well. So you put those three things together, and a little bit of just an over push on the loud pedal, and can create a very bad day very quickly for you here in Daytona. So the left-hander heading into the banking is definitely one of the most troublesome corners on the racetrack. I mean, the International Horseshoe and the West Horseshoe are their own battles, but in my opinion, that left-hander is the one corner that, if it's going to catch me out, that's the corner that catches me out here every time. So, I mean, James is up against it here right now. He's got the race leaders literally nibbling at him here right now, trying to put him a lap down. So James is doing everything in his power here right now to just keep going on the track and not let these guys catch him. He is on quite fresh racing tires, and that could be to a big advantage for James. But right now, Mehdi and Antonio could work together if they really wanted to here, and just push up to that 14th place car and navigate around him as quickly as possible. So we do have blue flag passing zones here at Daytona, and those passing zones obviously are going to be in the bigger straight sections on the racetrack. There isn't many, so obviously leading in between the horseshoes is a blue flag passing zone. On the back straight here obviously is a blue flag passing zone, and I believe this straight in between the West Horseshoe and the 90-degree left-hander is also a blue flag zone here today. So if we do run into blue flag situations, it is the responsibility of, well, both drivers essentially to follow the procedure, right? So James, in this case, when the race leaders, if the race leaders get close enough to him, if he's in the middle of, say, making the corner in the International Horseshoe or the West Horseshoe, he's not going to be expected to just give way to the race leaders and give up the position right there and then. That's dangerous, it's unpredictable, and can cause an incident. So what he will do is, as soon as he gets out of that Western Horseshoe, he's going to just move off the racing line, give it a quick little lift, and those race leaders are going to zip right on by, and he's just going to tuck in behind and continue on with his race. It costs him about 1/10 of a second. No harm, no foul, no incident, and it's very predictable. So that's why we have the blue flag passing zones here at Daytona. And I mean, that's not always the way we're works out. Sometimes a driver finds a way to let the lead lap traffic through outside of those blue flag zones, and there's nothing wrong with that either, as long as it's done predictably and safely. Communication is always key between lead lap cars and blue flag traffic. A signal light or a flash of the lights, or just a little tap of the brake before the lead lap car gets closer to you, just to warn them that, hey, I'm slowing down, go ahead and go around. The lead lap cars also need to be very attentive at looking for that sign of where to go around, and also being aware of the blue flag passing zones as well. So it does require a little bit of patience at times from the lead lap cars as well, but when both parties get it all right, it's flawless, it's smooth, and everybody just keeps on racing. But James, he ain't letting that happen right now. He is pushing to make sure that he stays on that lead lap right now. We got Lucas 8.9 seconds in behind Evil right now in third place. Evil's 9.4 seconds in behind Antonio and Medi. So currently, Antonio and Medi are definitely controlling the pace of the race very early on. Evil was moving at the beginning of the race, just knocking down spots. Now it seems to have just kind of settled into a rhythm here, and is just trying to close the gap back up into the top two spots there, but at the same time trying to make sure he doesn't let this guy Lucas close any time in on him either. So 8 seconds is the gap between him and Lucas, and then Lucas has done a pretty good job of starting to build that gap to Dino. It was 3 seconds a little while ago. Now we're up to 4.3. So slowly but surely, just shaking that Aston Martin in behind him here right now in that grid-like Lexus. All right, Kemp doing a great job here. Started 8th here in the grid, up into 6th place. He's got Zorian from Overboost Racing Team right tucked in behind here now. And ORT gets the job done. That was a beauty of a pass. I did not expect to see that there. I don't know if that was Kemp just giving up the position there, or what we saw there. Let's go take another look. But I mean, there's a pretty good gap here. I mean, ORT didn't look like they were in a position to make that pass there. Okay, Kemp went out of the corner a little bit, got out into the marbles and into the dirt there a little bit, and that actually allowed Azorian to get nice and tight on the inside line going through turn number 1 there to get the job done. So that was great job there by Azorian from ORT, and now up into 6th place there. But that means Wid C is next in line here. He has closed that gap up to not only Azorian but also Kemp. So Wid now looking to try and get around Kemp here as well. He's going to get into the slip. Is he going to push? No, he looked to go up and faked and went down, took the inside leading into the Le Mans chicane, and going to get the job done heading into the Le Mans chicane. So Wid with a nice pass right there on Kemp too, and a little bit of shadow games in the rearview mirror there from Wid C. That was great. I love that. He went up. The other driver's like, oh, okay, he's just going to tuck in behind. So Kemp moves up into the line, and boom, Wid C just drops down underneath and gets the job done into the Le Mans chicane. That was a very, very well executed pass right there. But now Kemp is in the slip here. Is Kemp going to respond? Isn't that question? We got Dino coming into pit lane here, so an undercut coming in here from Dino over the rest of the field, and we've got Azorian there. Looks like he made a mistake as well, and that allowed Wid to close right up on the brakes here, and we got a 3-way battle happening here for 5th place right now as we head into the International Horseshoe. These cars are separated by 3 car lengths from Azorian to Kemp. So we're on the car in the middle of the sandwich at the moment, the Aston Martin here, and Wid C from Sector 7 Racing as he's applying some pressure to the Overboost Racing Team BMW here, but also keeping an eye in his rearview mirror for that Sector 7 Racing BMW in behind here, or Lexus, pardon me, as well. So as we head around this left-hander here, can Wid get a run on the ORT BMW here in that Aston? Ooh, a little bit of a bump there. You can see we were talking about how that corner is bumpy there, and we actually just saw that in that Aston Martin there. He went to go put the power down, hit that bump, and it actually caused that car to wiggle a little bit on the exit there. Thankfully, he kept it underneath him, and it didn't seem to cost him too much time as he is all over that BMW right now, tucked right underneath that rear wing. A little bit of a bump there. We've got Medi now coming into pit lane here, and he is on 0% fuel. So, I mean, that is cutting it close on that pit window. And a great run from Wid and Azorian coming out of Le Mans chicane. Kemp, not quite as good a run there, and that's going to cost him. The slipstream here heading up into the start-finish line on lap number 45 here, but Wid is just all up in ORT's business here right now, as he's going to try and get the job done on the outside. But did he sit in behind long enough was the question, and no, he did not. Or did he go up on purpose just to try and get some clean air to set up return one? It's hard to say. It looked like he tried to get the job done there, but again, passing on the outside of the oval here at Daytona is extremely difficult, needs to be extremely well timed, and I think that was an attempt at getting the job done on the outside, but he just didn't have the overspeed to overtake that BMW. So as we head up the road here, nice juicy battle here for 4th and 5th place. Love to see it. As we're about an hour and 20 minutes now into the race. He is moving and grooving. That was a very tight entry-exit coming out of left-hander right there for Wid. A little bit less clean for ORT in front. That should allow the Aston Martin again to get the run on the banking here, but can he get the job done? He settles in and just gives a push here. Maybe Wid feels that the ORT BMW is about on pace with him here, and maybe we're going to see a little bit of bump drafting happening here. We haven't seen a whole lot of that yet today. It is allowed. You are allowed to bump draft here in the race. However, it has to be a proper bump draft. It has to be a nose-to-tail push. It can't be the driver in behind comes in at 20 miles an hour fast or slams into the back end of the car in front, just gives them that mega boost like we typically see in open lobbies or daily races, right? You know, you have to do it properly here. If you're going to use bump drafting and slipstreaming in this race, you need to tuck your bumper in right on top of the bumper of the driver in front and push. Not bump, catch, bump, catch, bump, catch, bump, catch. You need to tuck in and, just like a magnet, stick to that rear bumper of that car and push. You're doing it that way, that's proper bump drafting, and that is allowed here. The other bump drafting is not allowed, so the big coming in from behind and pushing and then catching up and pushing and then catching up and pushing, that will be looked at by race officials in between the stints, in behind the scenes. So the drivers do need to be wary of that, and also with heavy damage on, the push, catch up, push kind of slipstreaming that we typically see from most of the drivers in Gran Turismo 7 could also cause damage to the race cars. So it really is risk versus reward right now when it comes to bump drafting. Your bump drafting partner you have to very definitely trust, and maybe that's why we're not seeing as much of it today perhaps, but it needs to be proper bump drafting. If we're going to see it today, it needs to be how you would expect to see it in real life. These cars, they can stick to each other like glue at that point, and those two cars create a bigger hole, creating more speed. Lucas in pit lane, so we're starting to see the two-stop sequences coming into play here again. So the drivers that are on the two-stop strategies are now making that second pit stop. It's going to be interesting to see where Nibali comes out in all of this, because he is the driver on that one stop. Alright, so James unfortunately now is a lap down here over the field. Mitty and Antonio have made their way around, but with that being said, of course, Mitty and the rest of the group behind have made their pit stops. Antonio's the only one that has yet to pit out of that lead group, so that gap will change here again. Evo in third place. Lucas is in pit lane here right now. That's going to put should put Dino out ahead of him here, I think, as he comes around corner number 1 here. But it's going to be close because, of course, pit exit comes out right in towards the International Horseshoe here. And actually, Lucas comes out just ahead of Dino here by about 4 or 5 seconds, it looks like. So it's a good pit stop there for Lucas. Nibali here in 6th place. Now, this driver is not going to stop again, or has no intentions on stopping again, barring any unforeseen circumstances. Currently sitting in 6th place, now has 8.9 seconds over Boost Racing Team's Zorian in 7th place. He's about 5 seconds in behind our lab's Dino. So the drivers in front are on very fresh tires and low fuel. Nibale's on low fuel, but not quite as fresh at tires. So it's going to be interesting to see where Nibale ends up now once the stint is over. Nibale was quite down in the field at the beginning of the race, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember right offhand. Actually, might have been near the bottom of the field, perhaps even, and currently sitting in 6th place with the one-stop strategy. So it is kind of the big discussion here today is the one-stop or the two-stop stronger. Now, as I stated earlier in the broadcast, based off my information from the previous couple weeks leading into today's race, with being around the teams that are testing tuning, being in the garages and seeing some lap times, the two-stop is about 5 to 7 seconds faster over the one-stop if the driver has the perfect run, so to speak. That's asking a lot. So it is hard to say which strategy is the better strategy here today. Weather won't factor into this race in a sense as much as it could in other racetracks, because unfortunately we don't have wet weather models in North American racetracks currently in the Gran Turismo platform, which is unfortunate. So it will remain dry all race long, but the one thing that does vary quite significantly here at Daytona when it comes to our dynamic weather model is the wind. The wind at Daytona is crazy on this model. It will completely change directions at the snap of a finger, and it'll change 10 miles or 10 feet per second at the snap of a finger at any given time here on the racetrack. So the wind is a big factor here. Wind, obviously, if you're getting a headwind into the oval, it's going to slow your car down up the oval. You get a tailwind into the oval, obviously it's going to speed your car up, but that wind is also going to affect turn-in ability in the infield. So the drivers need to be highly aware of the wind factor here today at Daytona. Betty with the undercut. Absolutely. Dino going for the big undercut there as well, pitting before any of the drivers in the second pit stop sequence there, and that didn't gain him anything, but it didn't really lose him anything either. But Mehdi has used strategy so far today to put himself in the field. After the first pit stop, he got into first place due to just pit strategy, and he's used pit strategy here again on the second set of stops to again put himself ahead of Antonio. I believe this is second set of esports, this Antonio, if I'm not mistaken. We have E-Racing, Esports Race Asylum. Evo here in 8.2 seconds. For some reason I get that jumbled up all the time. It's a tongue twister. 8.4 seconds, so managing. Not losing but not gaining right now on first and second place, and it's been like that for the last hour or so of the race for Evo. Lucas is much of the same thing. Fantastic run here for Lucas to start this race off here today. Only 9.3 seconds in behind Evo right now. I think that was about 8.7 seconds last time we looked. So I mean, again, just managing that gap and trying to keep any more bleed time down. He's 20 seconds off the overall race leader here, so not doing too shabby at all. Dino here as well, only 27 seconds off the race leader here, 6.6 seconds in behind Lucas. Dino is also having a very good run here in this Aston Martin as well, and again, it's nice to see two Aston Martins in the grid here being very competitive. We've got Nibale here in the C7 Corvette. Got a little bit spicy coming out of the left-hander there. And again, it's just so flat there. It is very hard to get the power down clean. Some of these drivers use the TCS system, some don't. And for those of us that don't use TCS or a lot of TCS, throttle control is so important. It's so important. Well, the one thing about being a World Tour driver and being a part of that circuit and being a part of that whole deal, they have a lot of knowledge and they have a lot of intel on the game and how the game works. They get to talk to the game developers, they get to talk to, Kaz himself. They get a lot of one-on-one with the people behind the game. So not just Mehdi, any of these drivers that are involved in the World Tour circuit or trying to get into that circuit, they do kind of have an advantage over the rest of the field because they just have so much more game knowledge than the average racer due to their situation, their status, and obviously their skill level has gotten them into that position to have that gain of knowledge. So is he a genius? Maybe. He may very well be a genius. I can't discount that by any means. I don't know him on a personal level. I've only talked to him a few times. He's a very nice gentleman. Would see here in 7th place, but we got that battle happening in behind him here right now between Kemp and Azorian, so we're going to keep our eye on this. An ORT on the inside of Kemp there, and Kemp's going to try and do the over-under there, but there was a BMW bumper there, so he's just going to give him a little push instead, and he tried to respond there with the over-under in response to the Western Horseshoe there, but Team ORT Azorians there read that like a book, and he covered it off, and there was just nowhere for the 64 Sector 7 car to go to respond. So it was a great defense there from Overboost Racing Team. That was a good clean battle by these 3 drivers, and Woodsey in 7th, Azorian in 8th, and Kemp now down into 9th place. We've got Eric's Racing Slim here. He's in 10th position and is about 1 second ahead of Kevin Gran Turismo, so no longer in no man's land. Kevin Gran Turismo here is obviously trying to close it on Slim here, get up into that top 10. We've got James here in 12th place, back on the lead lap now. We've got Tobias here in 13th, and we've got Slugsy here in 14th position, and all drivers still currently on the lead lap. So, back to what I was saying about the drivers like Mehdi that are in the position that he's in, and I mean, rightfully so. They have earned their spot where they are. They're not the best in the platform because they do this casually. Hundreds of thousands of hours go into these guys' driving to get to where they are. So, I mean, it's well earned, but they do have more information than the regular racer does. They know what's coming with the updates before we do, and they know a lot of things that we don't know. So he could very well be a genius. Like I said, I'm never going to discount the intelligence of a human being, but he also has an advantage of being in the position he's in with the esports side of GT7, having a little more of information available to him and support available to him as a S-rated driver. Got Lucas here in 4th place. We've got Dino here in 5th position. We've got Nibble here in 6th place. We've got Wid, who was in 2nd place, having a good race, had dropped down to 3rd, 4th place, was battling for the podiums, made a mistake, had to go in, had a fixed front clip on his car, dropped all the way down into P10, now has that car back up into P7, and is now trying to close in on Nibble, who's 7.1 seconds up ahead. Now, Nibble is on a 1-stop strategy compared to all these drivers chasing in behind who are on 2-stop strategies, definitely on fresher tires. Are they going to be able to catch Nibble? We would assume so. Penalty here for Azorian, and that's going to allow Kemp to get back around, so the S7R Lexus now going to jump up into 8th position there, and Azorian's going to fall back into 9th place there after having to serve that penalty, and you can see he was ahead, just barely ahead of Kemp when he served that penalty. It was a half-second penalty. Kemp got the pass done, which is almost 2 tenths for full car length, plus he's 8/10 of a second ahead of Azorian now. So that half-second penalty straight cost the ORT team right there 1 full second at position on track. Penalties are going to be so crucial here to not pick up. Slim in 10th place. We've got Kevin Gran Turismo, pardon me, in 11th position. We've got James here in 12th place. And just not a lot going on up in the back end of the field here. We got Mehdi 2.9 seconds ahead, but that dreaded penalty. We were just talking about these penalties, and you're going to see that gap drop down to under 2 seconds now. Most likely here from Antonio. So he was at 2.7 with that half-second penalty. And it's down to about 2 seconds, so about 3/4 of a second loss there to Antonio from Mehdi for having to serve that half-second penalty. And again, drivers just on a slightly different skill level and find ways to negate tenths of seconds. I mean, it was a clear-cut 1 second for the last driver we just watched take a half-second penalty for ORT, but that was literally only 3/4 of a second. So again, just they just know stuff that we don't know. I don't get it. They do a very great job at minimalizing time loss. Lucas here in 4th place, 10 seconds in behind Evo. He's still only 20 seconds in behind the race leader, so is maintaining that gap currently from the overall race leader. Dino is 7.3 seconds in behind Lucas, so Lucas has opened it up a little bit here on our 5th place driver from Loose Moose Racing. We got Nibble here, and I'm not sure which team Nibble is racing for. This might be GT Finland, I think, if I'm not mistaken. This is the GT Finland team. Another great racing team as well. I recognize this team from another endurance series last season that I was working with, and a very efficient team as well. So currently, like I said, he's got himself up into 6th place here. He's on a completely different strategy. This is the only driver on the one-stop strategy in this whole first split. Every other team is on a 2-stop strategy with the exception of GT Finland here. So very interesting to see. And again, it's got him up in the top 6 right now. So far, it seems like it has worked for him. All right. We don't have anything crazy going on at the moment. Let's jump on board with our current race leader here for a lap around Daytona while I just do a quick check. I'd like to make sure that I'm not missing any race control information that may be being passed along while we're live as well. We like to try and keep an eye on as much as we can. We like to be as informed as possible so we can keep the viewers watching at home as informed as possible, essentially. So 1.6 seconds here from Eddie, and as we come around the left-hander here, get a little bit more of a better scope on the banking here. In the camera view, you don't really get an idea how steep the banking at Daytona is, and even in this view, you can tell that it's definitely steep, but it still does not give you the full scope of how steep the banking at Daytona really is. In real life, the banking at Daytona, you as a driver can basically look out the left window and look at the pavement. The banking is that serious. The game doesn't quite do it justice. But a little bit of perspective to see how heavy the cars lean, especially on that right side suspension, obviously in the banking at 180 plus miles an hour at top speed. You know, this is going to definitely wear down the car. It's going to wear and tear on the parts. So it's hard to realize that in Gran Turismo 7. Unfortunately, they didn't, even though they've literally, basically driven with their little radar and literally have mapped every square inch and millimeter of this racetrack from real life to the game. The banking is still very off when you're looking at it as a spectator or a viewer or even a racer. In your wheel, you can feel the force of the banking, but visually it doesn't look like it's that aggressive. In reality, it's extremely crazy. So we've got IRO Evo here. He's in 3rd place. He's been in 3rd place for a large part of the stint here now, and he's got about 8 seconds to that front two, so he's closing in a little bit here. Currently in the latter part of the stint as he continues on around. Lucas here is 11.8 seconds in behind Evo. He's just starting to lose a little bit of time here to the race leaders lap by lap, but not significant chunks. Dino, much of the same thing, 9 seconds in behind Lucas. He is, again, every time we see him come through the field, it's about another second, 1.2 seconds. 43.032 from Evo. That's a good call from the chat there. Now, currently the fastest lap of the race, and obviously of the stint, does belong to Esports Races LM's Evo. Currently at a 43.032. That is crazy fast. You know, for us average drivers on Daytona here, jumping one of these cars, we're going to run 46s and 45s here. These guys we're dropping 43s like it's candy. So absolutely just crazy pace coming from split one here today. We'd see here 5.2 seconds in behind Nibble. It was 7.1 seconds last time we checked, so he has nipped a couple seconds out of the 6th place driver, and he's still got 13 racing laps here before he's going to bring it in and pass it over to the next pilot. So Kemp here in 8th place, and has Azorian tucked right back in behind again here, and these two three, really, essentially, drivers since Witt had to make that front clip repair, have been kind of swapping positions back and forth throughout the whole remainder of the stint, and it's no different here. We're going to see a battle between Azorian and Kemp here again for 8th place, and is he going to... Nope, he's just going to give him a push there, I think. I think he was thinking about going up the inside line, but it sure looked to me as if Kemp was not going to give that inside line up this time. That was definitely a defensive approach into turn 1 there, and ORT maybe thought he was going to take his normal approach into turn 1 there, but did not, and instead got a nice little push from the ORT BMW in behind. So the game on. You know, the drivers are clearly now starting to think about their position on the racetrack, the amount of time that they have to the next driver, and drivers are now seeming to be a little less willing to just freely give up positions here. That was a solid defense right there from Kemp on Azorian. So, a little bit of a wiggle there from Azorian as he comes around the Western Horseshoe, and as we head into the left 90 here to head into NASCAR 1 and 2. A little bit of a slide there from Kemp coming out of the left-hander. Now should allow Azorian to get a run here leading into the Le Mans chicane. So a good little battle happening here between the two guys, between Kemp and Azorian here for 8th place right now again. So we are nearing a driver swap transition period here. In the next 12 to 15 minutes, we should see the first place driver come in to hand the car over to the next driver for stint number 2. Stint number 2 will be right here where everybody's hanging out watching, right here live on the International Racing Organization YouTube channel, and the amazing Tatiana will be taking the helm in the booth for stint number 2. Tatiana is a great broadcaster. She is a member of the Sector 7 racing team, and she's a great broadcaster. She's extremely knowledgeable when it comes to racing, and this is going to be her first time here with the International Racing Organization here in the booth. So when we get over to Tatiana's stint in stint 2, I want the chat to show Tatiana massive love, show her the hype sauce, and enjoy her commentary, because she is really good at it, and it's great to see that she jumped on board this season to come and jump in the booth with us to bring this amazing action to the viewers at home. So the amazing Tatiana will be taking stint number 2 here from us, and normally we would be in there with our next next commentator to do the transition through the chat, but I'm on a wounded setup right now, and unfortunately cannot use the chat system in place, so it'll be a little bit different from my stints to the other commentator stints today, so I do apologize to the viewers for a little less of an experience than what you guys are used to, I guess. But unfortunately for me, it is just at the mercy of what my equipment can do at the moment. So I do apologize to the viewers and to IRO for being unable to use the system that they put in place right now, but that's alright. We'll make it work beautifully one way or the other, because that's what we do. Hope we're having fun here today. Hope everybody's having a great weekend. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to our viewers. Welcome back to our returning viewers, and welcome in to our new viewers. If you're new and just tuning in for the first time, welcome to the International Racing Organization. We're a sim racing league on the Gran Turismo 7 platform, and we specialize in true long-distance endurance racing. We have a 10-round season in store for everybody here in 2025, and it's 10 rounds over 11 months of the year, and we will see a variation of 24, 12, and 8-hour races through 2 different splits here from the International Racing Organization this season. Obviously, split 1 will be our live broadcast split, and split 2 will be ran on separate weekends behind the scenes. So, just to give everybody a little bit of insight on what's happening here, this is our season opener, the 2025 Endurance Championship season here from International Racing Organization, and it is a Daytona 24-hour, and it's only fitting because in real life, the endurance season starts at Daytona. It only makes sense that we start our endurance season at Daytona. So this is where we're at. Qualifying was a blast yesterday, as we've got a great battle for the race lead happening here right now, and it was the most intense qualifying, Super Pole qualifying in the history of the International Racing Organization. The speed, the caliber, and the competition of the drivers is historical here this season. And with that being said, it's all leading up to be an absolutely epic championship racing season here for the 2025 International Racing Organization schedule. As you can see, we have some pretty star-studded lineups here, and this is just one set of the drivers from each of the teams. Each team has up to 10 driver spots that they can put drivers in. So each team can carry up to a 10 driver roster. We have 14 teams in split 1. There is up to 140 drivers to partake in one of these 24-hour races throughout the 14 respective teams. It is a big deal here, and the fact that we have 272 drivers essentially right now through 2 splits over 27 teams is pretty crazy to fathom. So thank you to the racers, to the teams, and to all the viewers at home from the International Racing Organization. Let's get back to it. We got 9 to go before we're turning this over to our second driver of the day, and we got a battle for the race lead as we lead in towards our pit stop sequences here in about 15 minutes time? 15 minutes time, I guess. Antonio, Medi, battling it out side by side as we head into the first corner. Medi's got the inside line. Antonio's going to try and hang it out on the outside, and a small little touch between the two. That is a tough pass on the outside into turn number 1 there. Medi had the optimal line there. That was a bold try there from Antonio, but he wasn't quite able to get it done. So it is going to be Medi here holding strong right now in the race lead, but he is feeling the pressure right now from Antonio in behind. And I don't want to go see what's going on anywhere else here right now, because the moment I leave this is the moment this happens. So we're going to stick with this battle for the lead here right now. The 45 car of Medi, literally just ahead of Antonio here right now, and a car length separating the 2 drivers here. Now, these are 2 different cars. We have a GTR and we have a Lexus. Now, with that being said, Lexus has better speed coming out of the corners. However, with that being said, the GTR has an overall better top end, right at the very top end of the car. Doesn't necessarily get there here, except for on the oval banking. So you would think that the advantage does belong to Lexus when you compare the 2 manufacturers against each other here in this situation. However, with that being said, the GTR has one very important advantage, and that is overall top speed. It is the second fastest GT3 car currently on the very overall top end in all of the Group 3 class here in Gran Turismo 7. The only other car that is better than it, I believe, is the Ford GT race car currently. Here we go, gonna try it again, side by side, heading into turn 1. Antonio's got a much better beat on it this time, and he is going to hang it out there, and he still can't quite get it done. Medi is not going to give it to him easily. He's not just going to give him the optimal line here, and Antonio, although a great effort the second time around there going into turn 1, had much better positioning there. He just can't quite get the pass made here, and Medi is working right now in full defense mode here with Antonio all over the rear bumper, and all this means for Evo and Lucas and all the cars in behind is potential time gain here. Ooh, a little bit wide there from Medi. He's going to clip the grass. That's going to cause him a little bit of traction loss there, and Antonio still having position there. You've seen him go real early on the brakes there to get the big run out of the 90, and that is going to pull him up in behind Medi. Medi was aware, just breaking the toe for a second there, but that Lexus is on the charge, and here we go. He's going to move up the high banking here, see if he can get around that GTR leading into the Le Mans chicane, but the GTR just has enough to stay just slotted ahead. And as we head into the Le Mans chicane here, these guys are nose to tail, and they are not giving up. Which of these drivers is going to come into this driver swap in first place? Hard to say, but Tatiana, get ready, because girl, you got yourself a battle right out of the gate. Race on. Alright, slipstream, slingshot engaged. Did he get enough overspeed this time to get it done on the outside? He may have gotten, he's got position. He is technically ahead right now and in the race lead. He does get the job done. He gets enough overspeed there in the slip. He gets the job done heading into turn 1. And Medi's going to tuck right in behind Antonio here now. And he is going to try and respond. So a third time's a charm here for Antonio. Third time into turn 1. Gets the job done. Takes the race lead away from Medi Hafidi. Ooh. Teammates in real life. You can see they both got the same tag. These are teammates in real life, but they're driving on separate teams here in the series, so I'm sure they're very familiar with each other as well. So this is a great battle here between the two drivers. A very great battle. Well, I'm sorry to all the other teams right now, but you've got to watch this. We got to watch this. We do have something brewing here on going into turn 1 here too, so we are going to go and just take a quick peek at what is going on there. We got Nibali, Azorian, and Kemp and Wid here, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th place. That was what I was kind of keeping my eye on. We were watching that lead lap battle. We'll get back there very quickly here. I just wanted to see what was going on here. So Nibali has lost that spot to Wid, so Wid has gotten back up into P6 here. He's 8.6 seconds in behind Dino, and Nibali is about 2.8 seconds in behind, and now he's got Overboost Racing Team, our defending champions, in 8th place, tracking here, and Kemp just in behind as well. So Nibali is under a little bit of pressure here right now from ORT and the Sector 7 McCougar team as well, but we're just going to try and kind of keep our eyes on both battles here right now as it's going on here. You just never know which one's going to happen first. It's so hard to say. All it takes is a good run, a little bit of a gain under braking, a little mistake from one of the drivers, a little wiggle, and then that position changes. So we are going to be doing some production navigating here for the next couple of minutes. So just bear with me here, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be bouncing back and forth between our race leaders and that battle for 7th place here. So yeah, I mean, you can see this battle's closing up. Azorian is half a second in behind Nibali, and Kemp is half a second in behind Azorian here right now. So we are definitely going to be potentially seeing a battle happening here before the end of this stint, and it is so hard to decide which one we need to be watching right now. We do have Kemp on the outside of Azorian here. Is Kemp going to do a similar thing that we've seen Antonio do on Medi? He's going to take it on the outside there, and Ortiz going to tuck it in on the inside of Nibali there, and he's going to get the job done. I think there was a small amount of contact there, but that was a huge gain for Kemp there, as well as Kemp now is also going to grab the position, but that also gives Kemp the inside line on ORT, and is he going to get a twofer here out of 3 corners, side-by-side action, and no, the BMW just outruns that Lexus out of the corner, and Kemp is going to have to tuck it back in. All right, let's get back to the race lead here real quick. Let's see what's happening here. Antonio has opened the gap up on Medi a little bit here by a second, so let's get back to where this fight is. Not too much is happening up front here. Let's get back to our 7th place battle. We will get to the race leaders here shortly though, so obviously with timing reasons and logistical reasons for race control, we'll go through the field slowly so they can see the gap between the leaders in each car for driver swap purposes. So here in the next lap or two, we will get that grid walkthrough for race control and break it down for everybody before we hand it off to Tatiana here. So absolutely fantastic racing here in stint number 1. I honestly expected to see it really all out war at the beginning of the race for those early positions. We didn't see that. We've seen a couple of quick battles, and that was it. Everybody siphoned into a single file pretty quickly here, and you realize it was a slipstream race. And from there, we've just seen lots of individual positional battles between little groups of cars. It's been a lot of good racing here in stint number 1 so far. It's definitely a little bit spaced out, but I can confirm right now that every car is still on the lead lap, with the exception of Slugsy. Might just go a lap down before the end of the stint here, as we did see Antonio just creeping in on him here. So Kemp going in really deep into turn 1 there on the outside and trying to get the pass out on the ORT team here, and he wasn't able to get it done. And then he tried the over-under and still couldn't get it done, and now he's going to try and do it in the International Horseshoe. So it is battle on here, and this is an over-under situation again, but that BMW is just so strong on corner exit. Very, very hard to outdrive it on corner exit unless you've already got the position on it. So Azorian is doing everything right now in that BMW at holding off the Sector 7 Lexus here at the moment, but it is a sweat fest right now for 7th place. These two are working hard. These drivers are on edge. They're white knuckling those steering wheels, and they are probably sweating beads right now as this fight continues on the racetrack here. Azorian is just doing everything he can to keep that 64 Lexus in behind him before we get into pit lane. And let's see what you got going on here, as I see this was getting very close on the track radar. So we had to come back, as this is, again, the battle for the overall race lead. You can see Slugsy now just being navigated around by Medi and Antonio there. So Slugsy just going a lap down here at the end of the stint. And 42.827 now is the current fast lap of the race and the stint, and that is now being held by ERM's Antonio. So we are now officially into the 142s for the fast lap of the day. Absolutely crazy pace. Crazy pace. God, is so fast. Absolute treat to watch. Thank you, racers, for allowing me to be in the booth to witness such amazing racing. Really do appreciate it. It's an honor to be in my position sometimes, to get to broadcast and see the drivers that we get to see sometimes. This is one of those cases where, you know, this is a privilege. This is an honor to be here broadcasting with such big names in the field. So yeah, thank you to the teams and racers, because this is an honor for me. I absolutely love broadcasting talent like this. It's just insane. Dino here in 5th place, 11 seconds in behind Lucas. I mean, Lucas right now having a drive for himself in Grid Life right now. This man, I was talking with the Grid Life team last night before they, shut the paddock down and we're getting prepared to get rest for the race this morning. I was in the paddock at Grid Life talking with Lucas himself there as he was just doing his final preparations for the car, and he was focused. He has a plan. He's really he was really working hard with the drivers on the team there as his team captain, and it shows today. He's having a good run so far today. He looks really good on track. We got Wid C here in 6th place. I mean, this guy's moving too. He went from 2nd down to 10th place due to a self-induced incident, I believe, and had to fix damage, and now he's got himself back up into 6th place. So he was over a minute behind the race leader at one point in time. He's got it back down to 45 seconds. So he's definitely moving. We got Kemp and Azorian here still battling for position. Azorian does have 7th place over Kemp here currently. Nibele's in 9th. We got Slim in 10th. We've got Kevin Gran Turismo here in 11th place. And I just want to get back to that lead pack here before we miss something, All right, so this time around, we're going to have 2 laps to go, and we'll be seeing driver swap transitions. So, again, show Tatiana love, everybody in the chat. She's a great broadcaster. She's very, very intuitive. She's very, very smart. She's very race knowledgeable, and she does a great job at broadcasting. So, show her an IRO warm welcome when she takes over in Stint 2, and show her that love, guys, because you're going to enjoy what she has to bring to the table, I assure you. Been very fortunate to work with Tatiana over the years, and is one of my favorite broadcasters to work with, in all honesty. So, all right, 3/4 of a second separating Antonio and Medi. We've got 7.15 seconds separating ERA's Evo from Medi in 3rd place. In 4th place is Lucas, 17.7 seconds in behind Evo, losing a little bit of touch with that front group, but it was he's only lost 5 seconds since the pit stop to the overall race leader. So over the last 20 laps, he has not really given up a lot of time. Our Labdino is 12.7 seconds in behind Lucas and 38 seconds in behind the race leader currently. That takes us to Wid C. Wid is 7.4 seconds in behind Dino and 46 seconds in behind the race leader, minus a little bit of loose change. We've got Zorian from ORT, who's 4.9 seconds in behind Widsey, still battling it out with Kemp here in that Lexus, and he's 50 seconds behind the race leader, which means Kemp is about 50 seconds behind her. Oh, and a huge over-under right there coming into turn one, and he's going to blow the corner. He cannot hold it. Huge ambitious move right there, and ORT is going to hold the line strong. Oh, you know we're going to see that again, chat. That was a massive, massive move right there, and the tag isn't working. So Kemp here on the outside, he's got a good run. He sees what's going on here and just ducks under hard on the brakes, but he can't get that Lexus slowed down in time. And ORT is going to say, thank you, mate. I'll just slip right on back the inside here and take that back. A huge move there by Kemp. Just couldn't quite hold the line. That was a little exciting. We got Nibele here in 9th place. We've got Team Racing, Eric's Racing Slim here in 10th position. We got Kevin Gran Turismo in 11th place. Tobias here in 12th place, and the only Merc on the grid here today. We've got Slugsy in 13th position. We got James in 14th place. Had a great race start, and it just got a little bit messy there in the mid part, and it's kind of set him on the back foot a little bit here. But again, he's doing much of the same thing as Witt, just trying to negate any time lost, trying to pick up any time back that he can, and you know, hand it over to the next driver and see what they can do with it. Small mistake. Oops. It was a big bold move. He just couldn't hold it under braking. It was a great attempt. That was a great attempt. All right, so 1.2 seconds. Antonio has started to outpace Medi here, and we're going to be starting to see these drivers coming in here. So this is going to be our in-lap for our racers. So we'll see Antonio, Medi, Evo, and the group as they come around now bring it into pit lane. They will bring it into pit lane. They will park their car. In the next lobby is the next set of drivers waiting. Those cars are already sitting in pit lane in their respective pit boxes waiting for that driver to come in. Once that driver comes into pit lane from stint 1 and comes to a full, complete stop in their pit box, they will message their driver taking over in stint 2 to go, and that driver will then change tires, add fuel, do whatever it is that they need to do to get onto their strategy, and they will take off in the race. So this is a cool system and a cool sequence you guys are about to see, and I really hope that the viewers that are new enjoy this, and for us that are returning, we know exactly what to expect here. So as it starts happening, we've got our race leaders coming in. Antonio is into pit lane. Medi is into pit lane. So the way this is going to work is Medi is going to pull in, and he is going to come to a complete stop. At that point in time is when, over the team radio, the next driver will be told to leave the pit box in the next lobby. And you can see it is, even though they literally come into pit lane at 180 miles an hour, boom, now the other driver will be going. Alright, so we've got Evo now in pit lane, and we've got Lucas also into pit lane. Dina will be next. Loose Moose Racing now entering pit lane in 5th place, 40 seconds behind race leader. That's going to leave Wid C in the Sector 7 Boomers, I believe this is, coming into pit lane now, 47.2 seconds behind the race leader. Azorian in 7th place coming in, 53 seconds, just edging out Kemp, 54 seconds behind the race leader. Nibele now into pit lane, 59.6 seconds in behind the race leader. So it's Eric's Racing Slim to be next, our 10th place driver, and he is just a few moments away from coming into pit lane himself here. And our 10th place driver is in. Kevin Gran Turismo in the BMW M6 next on track for Raw Talent Racing. Haha, I got it right this time. In 11th place, and he is coming into pit lane to hand that BMW over to the next pilot. We've got Tobias here in 12th place with the only Merc on the track, and he is now also coming into pit lane. That leaves Slugsy and James. Now these guys are a little bit down, so they're going to be just coming in a smidge later here. So Slugsy coming in here with the GTR and getting ready to turn that over, and bada bing, bada boom. AHR James, last car in. Stint 2 officially underway. Absolutely fantastic racing here from the Stint 1 drivers. Congratulations to all 14 teams. Absolutely great start to our Daytona 24 hours here in the 2025 season. And as soon as I see that full screen change over to lobby number 2, we will see the amazing Tatiana take over. Just catching up on the chat here. The chat has been popping off today. Absolutely appreciate everybody tuning in. All right, so we have everybody in, and we do have all the drivers out on track here now as well in stint number 2. So whether or not you can hear me, I'm not sure yet, but I'm going to keep talking until I know I'm good to go. Go Valkyrie RTR. Alright, who's our favorites here so far today, chat? Who do we think has the win today? I mean, right now it's obviously very clearly between 2 drivers at the moment, but it is a long race. Alright, so we did have race control coming out stating that the race can be finished. Just waiting for the transition here. That's alright if the chat's been distracted. That means y'all are having fun. What a stint. That was a great stint. Yeah, no, grid life CRA, Lucas. If he's not happy with that stint, there's something wrong with that boy. Let's just put it that way. I don't know. I'm just waiting on Jaeger. Just waiting on our production man. There may be a small issue. Obviously, it looks like there's a small issue there. Yep, perfect. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the amazing Tatiana for stint number 2.